Thanks for speaking with us tonight. I wanted to start off first by, asking, you kind of took a little while maybe to find your way into the game, had to sort of ride out some moments in the first half. But then the second half, the team kind of, beyond adding Rodman and Sanchez, kind of sprang to life. Were there any changes at halftime, or was it just sort of a refocus and kind of just a general lift to the group?
I think it was, it was a little bit of, here's the situation. Here's what we're looking at, and let's make sure everyone's on the same page. And then I think there's also a difference of, we know we've got these players in reserve, and, Cam and Ash and Trent who are coming on, and that immediately gives everyone a boost, and they come on with fresh energy and everything. And, we get a chance pretty early on, and I think that helps. Instead of us being under the gun, we're starting to put pressure on them straight away. And now, again, it puts us onto the front foot, and it's such a different thing, which is something that we talked about. Not necessarily at halftime, but we've talked about it recently. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of credit to them to really getting battered in the first half. It's been a while since we've been battered like that. But they did a great job coming out in the second half and, taking it to Chicago. It was a really gritty performance.
And speaking of those half times, specifically, Ashley obviously came out of the previous game with a knock, and then both Trinity and Cam were coming off of the COVID protocol situation. Was 45 minutes a maximum for all three, or is that taking into account that you've got the weekend as well, one more game in the gauntlet, so to speak?
No, it's coming out of protocol and them not having exercise for 5 days. It would be reckless to throw them in for 90. So that's one aspect of it. It's the max they could do is 45. And they were all chomping at the bit. I mean, it's rare that we have Sanchez and Rodman on the bench, but they were unbelievable cheerleaders, and they were flying. They were ready to go. And so, yeah, Sanchez, she's put up a lot of minutes as well, but, she also, she got stepped on pretty bad and probably shouldn't have continued in the last game, but she stuck it out and did the best job that she could. And so came in and gave us a real lift tonight.
Great. Thanks, Kris.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas, go ahead.
Hey, Kris. So it's the second draw against Chicago in 8 days. I know coming out that game, you thought the 3 points were there for the taking. What's your overall feeling about the result in this match, where you again had some opportunities in the second half, but also were dealing with injuries and fixture congestion, and still managed to get a point on the road?
Yeah, a draw is probably fair, especially considering the chance that Mal had that Aubrey saved. So I think, they own the first half, we own the second half, but we didn't do enough. We had some shots that we should have converted, but it's difficult given the entire thing. And I think that Chicago looks like they're certainly going to be one of the better teams this year. By the time the final results play out in October 1st or so. So we could look back at it and say we did a really good job to take points off of them, especially given the situation. That's one of those things it's tough to say, but I think given what we've had to do, look, it's when you don't have your best team on the field, it changes a lot. And I think we've seen how much someone like Andy Sullivan means to us. I think we've seen how much missing someone like Tara, and even people like Gabby Vincent, who people haven't really gotten to see yet. Gabby's going to be a really, really good player. I mean, she's going to have a really big impact for us. And so, I think given everything, given some of the learning moments for players like Maddie, it's probably fair. I don't want to settle for it personally, but I think we'll see in the end how it all plays out. And, making sure that we're not losing games is certainly the first step. And so, we did well in that regard, and certainly proud of the second half.
Thank you.
Andre, go ahead.
Hey, Kris, thanks for speaking with me.
I gotta know what did you do? I went to look and it's gone. It's suspended and like what's happening?
So here's what happened. Basically, my first account got suspended because of copyright. I post soccer videos and copyright got me. Apparently, when your account gets suspended for that, you can never create another Twitter account. I didn't know this. So I've had this second account for over 2 years, and suddenly somehow they found me and shut me down. So I'm trying to get people to be like, hey, this is kind of important for me to have a personal account. I haven't had any like copyright issues. Anyway, yeah, it's deeply frustrating and I hate it. So that's what's going on.
know a copyright attorney.
Yes.
If you want, I know someone very, very well who's a copyright lawyer, and I could put them onto this if you like, because yeah, it's not cool, especially when you're doing the job that you're doing.
Yeah, it's been less than ideal, but we'll see. I'm hoping to reach. I've got people talking to Twitter directly, so we'll see if they're able to do anything. But if not, I'm gonna tear my hair out and then I'll find something else.
All right,
some other route.
Let me know. Send me a message and I can put you on to someone.
All right, I really appreciate it. Thank you. To the game. Wanted to talk about Maddie Elwell. I know that you were really excited about her. She got on and had a few minutes. Seems like she's growing into the team a bit, obviously, some by force, I suppose, having so many games. But what did you see from her performance today?
I mean, one of the biggest things is that we saw it. I mean, look, I was after her for 2 years. When she was a senior at Vandy, I was pushing hard to get her in the draft, and then she stayed in for an extra year. And we chased hard to try and get her. So I'm happy that we were able to do that, because I think the upside, the attitude, the work rate from that basic standpoint is exactly what we want and what we expect of our players. And she brings it all the time. And then when you see some of the other things that she can add, she might be the best left-footed crosser on the team. She's got a really exceptional left foot that she hasn't really been able to show off all that much, but she can finish as well. And if she gets into the open field, she can move. And we've only seen little glimpses of how fast she is. She's going to be a difficult person to deal with. And we're all very excited for the future for her. And so I think getting this out of the way, just in terms of, all right, first starts, and now I know what to expect. And I've gone through warm-ups knowing that I'm preparing to play. I've gone through a team photo. I've gone through what this all looks like. Now those nerves are out of the way and she can just focus on playing. And so, yeah, we're super excited. But like I said, I think her attitude and her work rate in general is one of the things that you can't always count on with players. And so the fact that she is going full tilt all the time says a lot about her.
Yeah, definitely. I have to ask a bit about the strategy, because it almost from externalized my eyes, it seemed like the goal was you're starting more, I'd say, inexperienced players to start the game and trying to hold on until halftime until you can get Sanchez, Bigowski, and Rodman on, and then put the Red Stars under pressure. Was that kind of the plan from the beginning? I know you have to do some rotation, but did you kind of foresee Chicago starting out strong, knew if you could hold on till halftime, then the second half would be yours?
To a degree. There's certainly rotation, and those guys were certainly limited to 45. So that's part of it. But we should have had a better performance than we did. And there's a lot of different factors to that. That just goes with fatigue and travel and some of the stressors that you deal with in that sense of just who's going to be ready to step up. And so it was tough. Some people were exhausted, frankly, and it's a miracle that they got to halftime, because it's just been a lot. There's a lot of stressors, and there's no break from it. That's the thing that I say people, but I don't want to categorize it like that necessarily, but that I guess people on the outside, the casual fan is, they don't, this doesn't get to be turned off for them. They're thinking about the game, they're watching the game, they're watching video, they're constantly assessing their performance, they're constantly assessing their status within the team. I mean, those are dynamics that are at play. It's just personal dynamics of how does this performance affect where I stand? Does the team have faith in me? Do they not? Am I growing in that? Am I not? So it's just it's a tough thing. It's a tough job in general, that whatever you do, you're going to be judged in front of thousands of people and on national television. And most people just don't have that kind of stress. So yeah, I mean, there was certainly an aspect of if we can get to halftime in a good position, we'll benefit from that, which is exactly what the Red Stars did to us a week ago. But we certainly should have played better than that. It should have been easier on us than it was in the first half. And that was just, it was down to fatigue and, it being difficult to break the pressure sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. My last question is regarding this stretch of games, as we know and have spoken about many times, has been ridiculous. And one of the things that I was realizing is that through it, your home and away series with OL Reign and the Chicago Red Stars are done. And that's kind of wild because it's not even mid-June. But given that you have one win over Reign and the rest are draws, is that, you feel at least pretty comfortable, because those seem like two of the best teams, probably going to be two of the top 5 teams in the league. Do you feel comfortable like that, given the stress, given the schedule, you've gotten out of that with taking points off of each and took all 3 in one game?
It's from a realistic perspective, I would say yes. From a goals and expectations and desire perspective, what we're looking at doing here is creating a dynasty. It's whatever you want to look at, whether it's what Barcelona women did, like that's the level that we're searching for. That's the level that we're wanting, and that's what the players want. And so that run, I think, is disappointing from that aspect. We understand that there's a lot of factors that go into that. The travel has been insane. The injuries have been insane. But we still have an extremely high bar for ourselves. And so, it's, again, in October, we could look back at it maybe with a different view. But right now, we certainly feel like we could be top of the table. And that, we could be putting people away. And so, it's one of those things, like you can try and balance it as a coach, but we're competitive. We want to go, we want to win. We want to be in first place. We don't want to lose a game. And so as much as it's nice to say, oh, we grew here, we grew there, or this person had a good performance and we can see their confidence growing, at the end of the day, that's the expectation. And so it's tough from that perspective.